Have you ever felt a deep, secret fear of not being smart enough or talented enough? And has that fear ever held you back, whispering that you shouldn't even try because if you fail, everyone will see that you just don't have what it takes? Welcome to the Wisdom Mind Library. I'm Daisy. What we're exploring today offers a key to unlock ourselves from that fear, showing us that our true potential isn't something we're born with, but something we build. This idea comes from the life-changing work of world-renowned Stanford University psychologist, Carol Dweck. It's a journey into the very core of our beliefs, revealing a simple but profound truth that can reshape our relationship with success, failure, and everything in between. At the heart of this exploration are two simple but powerful ideas: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. These aren't just personality quirks, they are complete psychological worlds. They shape what we strive for and what we see as success. They determine how we see failure, whether it defines us or teaches us. And they influence how we see effort, whether it's a sign of weakness or the very path to strength. Let's walk through these two worlds together. First, let's enter the world of the fixed mindset. Maybe this world feels familiar to you. It's built on the belief that our qualities are carved in stone. Our intelligence, our artistic talent, our athletic ability, our character, they are fixed traits. We have a certain amount, and that's it. And if that's true, then life becomes one long, stressful audition. Every task, every interaction, every project is a test. A test with very high stakes. Will I succeed or fail? Will I look smart or dumb? Will I be accepted or rejected? Living in this world creates a constant, urgent need to prove yourself. Success is about demonstrating your innate gifts. It's about looking smart, talented, and flawless. And because of this, effort itself becomes a problem. The internal logic of the fixed mindset is, if I were truly good at this, I wouldn't have to try so hard. Effort is seen as a sign of deficiency. It casts doubt on your natural talent. So you might find yourself wanting things to come easily, and feeling a sense of shame or anxiety when they don't. This leads to a deep fear of challenges. A challenge isn't an exciting opportunity, it's a threat. It's a stage where you could fail, and in the fixed mindset, failure is a catastrophe. It's not just an outcome, it's a verdict on who you are. If you fail, it means you aren't smart or talented. And because those traits are believed to be permanent, that verdict feels final. There's no appeal. It's a label that sticks. So what do people do in this world? Often, they play it safe. They stick to things they know they can do well, to keep reinforcing that feeling of being a winner. They might shy away from opportunities that would stretch them, because the risk of looking foolish is just too great. And when setbacks inevitably happen, as they do for everyone, the reaction can be devastating. Some people become defensive, looking for someone or something to blame. It couldn't be their own deficiency, so it must be an unfair teacher, a bad boss, or just plain bad luck. Others become helpless, simply giving up because they believe the obstacle proves they don't have what it takes. Criticism, even when it's meant to be helpful, feels like a personal attack. It's not feedback, it's a judgment of your core self. And seeing others succeed can be incredibly painful. Their success becomes a benchmark against which you are measured and found wanting. It can spark feelings of jealousy and resentment, because in a world of fixed traits, someone else's gain can feel like your loss. It's an exhausting, high-pressure way to live, where your self-esteem is always on the line. But now, let's open the door to a different world. Let's step into the world of the growth mindset. This world is built on a completely different belief that our basic qualities are things we can cultivate and grow through our own efforts. It doesn't deny that people have different starting points. Some people might be naturally better at math or music initially. But it sees these talents as just that, a starting point. The core belief is that anyone can become smarter, more creative, and more skilled through dedication, hard work, and good strategies. Our potential is not a known quantity, but a vast, undiscovered territory. Living in this world changes everything. The passion is no longer about proving yourself, it's about improving yourself. It's a shift from a deep need to be seen as smart to a deep desire to learn. And in this world, effort is not a dirty word. Effort is the magic ingredient. It's the key that unlocks our abilities and helps them grow. The understanding that you can literally change your brain by working it hard, a concept known as neuroplasticity, is central to this perspective. Struggle isn't a sign that you're dumb. It's the feeling of your mind making new connections and getting stronger. Because of this, challenges are not threats to be avoided, but opportunities to be embraced. A difficult problem isn't a risk, it's a puzzle. It's a chance to stretch yourself, to learn something new, to become more than you were before. People in this mindset actually thrive when things get hard. They understand that mastery is not a smooth, easy ride. And failure? Failure is completely reframed. It's not a permanent label of incompetence. It's simply a part of the process of learning. It's information. It's a sign that you need to try a different approach, apply more effort, or ask for help. It's not a judgment on you as a person. The language changes from "I failed" to "this strategy failed." And this leads to one of the most powerful phrases in the growth mindset vocabulary, "not yet." When a student is struggling with math, they aren't a failure. They just haven't mastered it yet. "I'm not good at this" is a wall. "I'm not good at this yet" is a path. It contains the promise of future success. In this world, criticism is a gift. It's valuable feedback that can accelerate your learning. And the success of others is not a threat, it's a source of inspiration. When someone else achieves something amazing, the reaction is not jealousy but curiosity. "Wow, that's incredible. How did they do that? What can I learn from their journey?" It creates a sense of shared possibility and mutual encouragement. This is a world where you are free to be a work in progress, and where the journey of becoming is more important than the pressure of already being. The science behind these two worlds is fascinating. In one study, Dweck and her colleagues brought people into a lab and had them wear a cap that measured the electrical activity in their brains. They gave them difficult questions to answer and then provided feedback. For people with a strong fixed mindset, their brain activity showed a huge spike of interest only when they were told if their answer was right or wrong. They were intensely focused on the verdict. But when they were shown the correct answer, the information that could help them learn from their mistake, their brains showed very little interest. It was as if their minds had already shut down the learning channel after the judgment was delivered. But for people with a growth mindset, the pattern was the opposite. Their brains lit up with activity when they were shown the correct answer. They were hungry for the information that would help them correct their error and improve. Their brains were geared for learning, not just for judgment. This shows that these mindsets are not just attitudes, they physically change how our brains process information and engage with the world. Now let's see how these mindsets play out in real life. Starting in the highly competitive arena of sports. We love stories of the natural, the athlete who was just born with a gift. But this narrative often hides the real story. Take Michael Jordan. The story we remember is the legend. But his journey is a testament to the growth mindset. When he was a sophomore in high school, he tried out for the varsity basketball team and was cut. He was told he wasn't good enough. For a teenager with a fixed mindset, that could have been the end of the story. The verdict would have been in. You don't have the talent. But Michael's reaction was pure growth mindset. He went home, and yes, he was devastated. But he didn't let that devastation define him. He let it fuel him. He famously said that whenever he felt tired and wanted to stop practicing, he would close his eyes and see that list in the locker room without his name on it, and that would get him going again. He became known for having the most grueling work ethic in the sport, constantly practicing, pushing himself and working on his weaknesses. He didn't just rely on talent, he built his greatness through relentless effort. His most famous quote embodies this. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Contrast this with someone like John McEnroe, the tennis prodigy. He was blessed with immense natural talent. But he operated from a fixed mindset. He hated to practice, believing that his gift should be enough. When he lost, he would famously throw tantrums, blaming line judges, the racket, the crowd, anything but his own performance. From a growth mindset perspective, this is a tragedy. His fixed mindset robbed him of the opportunity to learn from his losses. By externalizing the blame, he gave away his power to improve. He couldn't own his shortcomings, so he could never fully transcend them. The true mindset of a champion, as seen in athletes like Jackie Joyner-Kersee, is one of continuous learning. Even after setting a world record, her first instinct was to analyze her performance with her coach, looking for tiny areas of improvement. Her goal wasn't just to win, it was to become a better athlete every single day. That's the growth mindset in action. This dynamic is just as powerful in the world of business and leadership. A leader's mindset doesn't just affect their own performance, it creates the weather for the entire organization. Fixed mindset leaders often create what Dweck calls a culture of genius. These are leaders who believe they are inherently superior. Their primary goal is to affirm their own intelligence and authority. They like to be the smartest person in the room, and they surround themselves with people who will agree with them, not challenge them. In these cultures, employees are afraid to speak up, admit mistakes, or take risks. The focus is on judging and sorting people into winners and losers, not on developing their potential. Lee Iacocca, the famous CEO who saved Chrysler, is presented as a complex example. After his initial incredible success, he seemed to shift into a fixed mindset. He became the face of the company, starring in its commercials and writing a best-selling autobiography. He started to believe in his own legend, and he insulated himself from criticism, surrounding himself with admirers. This led to a series of poor decisions that nearly drove the company back into the ground. A more extreme example is Chainsaw Al Dunlap, a CEO known for coming into companies and ruthlessly cutting costs and firing thousands of people to boost the stock price. He cultivated an image of being a tough, brilliant superhero. But his focus was on his own glory, not on building a healthy, sustainable company. He created cultures of fear, and ultimately left a trail of weakened organizations behind him. Now, picture a different kind of leader. A growth mindset leader. These leaders believe in the potential of their people. They don't have to be the genius with all the answers. Instead, they see themselves as facilitators of growth. They create cultures of development. When Lou Gerstner took over IBM, it was a company on the brink of collapse, crippled by a fixed mindset culture. Different divisions were at war with each other, each believing it was superior. There was a rigid hierarchy that stifled innovation. Gerstner came in and started breaking down those walls. He promoted teamwork and collaboration. He listened to employees at all levels. He wasn't afraid to admit he didn't know everything. He instilled a new belief system, that IBM could learn, adapt and grow. He didn't just save the company's finances, he changed its mindset. Another example is Jack Welch of General Electric. While known for being tough, he was passionate about developing talent. He spent an enormous amount of his time personally mentoring his employees and creating systems to help them grow. He believed that his most important job was to cultivate the next generation of leaders. These growth mindset leaders build resilient, innovative companies because they understand that an organization's greatest asset is not the fixed talent it hires, but the growing potential of its people. And what about our most personal lives? Our relationships with friends, family, and romantic partners. Here, too, these mindsets have a profound impact. If you have a fixed mindset, you might believe in destiny, in the idea of the one perfect partner. You might think that if a relationship is meant to be, it should be easy and conflict-free. But when challenges inevitably arise, they are seen as a terrible sign. A disagreement isn't just a disagreement, it's a crack in the foundation. It's a sign that you might not be compatible after all. The focus quickly turns to blame. This is your fault. You have this character flaw, and it's ruining everything. Because traits are seen as fixed, there's no hope for change. So, conflicts become battles to be won, or reasons to give up. But a growth mindset approaches relationships from a totally different place. It rests on the belief that a good relationship is not something you find, it's something you build. It understands that both people are works in progress, and that challenges are opportunities to grow closer. A conflict is not a sign of a fatal flaw. It's a chance to communicate, to understand each other more deeply, and to work together as a team to solve a problem. The focus is not on blame, but on process. How can we work through this? What can we learn from this? This mindset allows for forgiveness, because it understands that people can learn and change. It creates a partnership based on mutual support and a shared commitment to growth. Now we come to one of the most important questions of all: where do these mindsets come from? And how are they formed in us as children? The research here is stunning and has huge implications for every parent, teacher, and coach. For years, the self-esteem movement told us to praise our children's intelligence. We thought that by telling them, "You're so smart," we were building their confidence. But Dweck's research shows that this kind of praise, however well-intentioned, is one of the primary ways we instill a fixed mindset. She conducted a series of landmark studies with hundreds of fifth graders. In the first phase, all the children were given a fairly easy set of puzzles. They all did well. Afterward, they were given one of two types of praise. One group was praised for their ability. "Wow, that's a really good score. You must be smart at this." The other group was praised for their process and effort. "Wow, that's a really good score. You must have worked really hard." Then, the researchers watched what happened next. First, they offered the children a choice for their next task. They could choose a harder set of puzzles which they were told they would learn a lot from, or they could choose another easy set, which would be just like the first. The result was a dramatic split. The vast majority of the kids who were praised for being smart chose the easy task. They didn't want to do anything that might risk their new, shiny label of being smart. But an overwhelming 90% of the kids who were praised for their effort chose the harder task. They were eager for the challenge and the chance to learn. In the next phase, all the kids were given a very difficult set of puzzles. So difficult that they would all struggle. The reactions were heartbreakingly different. The smart kids became intensely frustrated and anxious. Their confidence crumbled. They saw their struggle as proof that they weren't smart after all. The effort kids, on the other hand, remained determined. They worked harder, tried different strategies, and many of them even said that the hard problems were the most fun. They saw the struggle as part of the game. The final phase was another set of easy puzzles, just like the first round. The smart kids, whose confidence had been shattered, now performed significantly worse than they had at the beginning. The praise had made them less resilient and less capable. The effort kids, who had been energized by the challenge, now performed even better. The struggle had literally made them smarter. And perhaps the most shocking finding of all, when the kids were asked to write a report about their experience to a student at another school, a large percentage of the smart kids lied about their scores. They would rather cheat than admit that they struggled. The fixed mindset had made their image so fragile that they felt compelled to protect it at all costs. The lesson is crystal clear. When we praise children for an innate quality like intelligence, we are teaching them to value that label above all else. We teach them that effort is a sign of weakness and that failure is something to be ashamed of. But when we praise the process, their effort, their strategies, their perseverance, their focus, their improvement, we give them tools they can control. We teach them to love challenges, to be resilient in the face of setbacks, and to see effort as the path to mastery. The final and most hopeful part of this journey is about change. Your mindset is not a permanent part of your personality. It is a belief. And you can choose to change your beliefs. It's a step-by-step process. The first step is simply to start listening. Begin to notice the voice of the fixed mindset in your head. It's that voice that whispers, "What if you fail?" When you face a challenge. It's the voice that says, "I told you so," when you have a setback. It's the voice that gets defensive when you receive criticism. Just learn to recognize it. The second step is to realize that you have a choice. When that voice pipes up, you don't have to take its interpretation as fact. A setback can be interpreted as proof of your permanent failure, or it can be interpreted as a learning opportunity. That is a choice. The third step is to talk back to it. You can consciously answer your fixed mindset voice with a growth mindset voice. When it says, "You can't do this," you can reply, "I can't do this yet. What do I need to learn?" When it says, "I failed," you can reply, "This strategy failed. Let's find a better one." A helpful technique is to give your fixed mindset persona a name. Call it Cranky Carl or Nervous Nelly. This creates a little bit of distance. It's not you who is afraid and judgmental, it's just your persona acting up. You can then have a compassionate conversation with it. "Okay, Carl, I hear that you're worried we'll look bad. I appreciate you trying to protect me. But right now I'm choosing to learn, and I'm going to take this on. You can come along for the ride." And the fourth, most crucial step is to take the growth mindset action. Don't just think differently, behave differently. Embrace that challenge. Persist when it gets tough. Ask for that feedback. Every time you act from a place of growth, you strengthen those new neural pathways and make the growth mindset your new default. It's a journey, not a destination, a daily practice of choosing growth over fear. So what we're really left with is a sense of freedom. The freedom to be a beginner, the freedom to be imperfect, the freedom to try and to fail, and to know that failure is not a final verdict on our worth, but simply a stepping stone on the path of learning. It's the permission to be a human being in the process of becoming. Maybe the way to begin applying this in your own life is just to listen. Listen to the way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake, or when you feel intimidated by a task. And just gently, kindly, offer yourself a different story. Instead of judging yourself, ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Praise yourself for your effort, not just your results. And extend that same grace to the people around you. If you gave yourself permission to learn without the fear of judgment, what is the one thing your heart has been wanting to do that you would finally allow yourself to begin? The passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom Mind Library. Until next time, I'm Daisy.